We are back on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio, News Talk, 1180, 1230 KGEO, 1410 KRI, and now in Albuquerque, New Mexico on 1000 KKIM. Our guest by phone, Rabbi Ganz, author of Uncommon Sense, the Talmud's Timeless Solutions to Political and Social Challenges. So, Rabbi, I left you with a question when we broke there. Do you think we should go in now because they're not strong enough? Like Europe should have done in the early 1930s rather than waiting for Germany to rearm?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was a colossal mistake and a colossal tragedy that Europe did not do that. And what they got for their pacifism was indescribable bloodshed. 60 million people died.
Yeah, and I'm not too sure I disagree with that. I think I'm inclined to agree with you. But do you think, unfortunately, going back to that same, Guns of August scenario, do you think maybe we'd be looking at China and the Soviet Union backing Iran, and all of a sudden now you've got a World War III scenario happening?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that if we just bomb their nuclear ability. It can be done in one bombing run, and ask questions later. I don't think anyone has an appetite for World War III. They have as little to gain from it as we do. I remember when it was I think in the 80s, Iraq started to build a nuclear weapon, and Israel took it out. So everybody was complaining, they were yelling, and they were threatening, and then a week later, the story died.
So why not let Israel take it out again?
Well, we could let Israel take it out again, but the United States is more capable of doing it. It's funny you ask about Israel. I was there recently, and when you talk politics in Israel, I think it's a little bit like they say talking politics in Washington. Everybody has access to the same news. The same, it's on the internet all over the world. But when you're sitting with a group of people in Washington, this one is the senator's aide, and this one, and this, and you hear things that you don't hear elsewhere. So, in Israel, I have a nephew that was looking into the Israeli Air Force as a career, and he told me years ago, maybe 7-8 years ago, that they're outfitting their planes to attack Iran. Because they have to travel much further.
Well,
and even so, they don't have stealth. They don't have stealth aircraft.
And recently, they were passing out gas masks also.
Oh yeah.
I mean, everybody wants to destroy Israel, yet Israel offers so much to the world. That's what I can't understand. In medical, in everything they participate in, they offer so much to the world.
Yeah. Which. It's surrounded by dictatorships. Every single one of those Arab countries, in that orbit is propped up by a dictatorship and a torture chamber and a controlled press. Israel's a free country.
Israel's fortunate to have a leader like Netanyahu.
Oh, no question about it. Yeah, I like Netanyahu a lot. Well, I'll make a bold prediction I've made on the show several times. I think we are getting close to a red line where Israel is going to have to do something on their own because they can't depend on the United States. I mean, they have no choice.
At least when Netanyahu draws a red line, it's a red line.
It's a red line, but they don't have a choice because what are they going to do? They can't wait for Iran to have a nuclear bomb because it'll be exactly the same scenario that the rabbi's talking about. It'll be too difficult to stop them once they have the bomb because I agree with Gary Bauer on this. I don't think it would take more than one, maybe two nuclear bombs to wipe out Israel because you're looking at a relatively small country geographically, and it wouldn't take much to wipe them out, and they're aware of that. So I don't think Israel can take that chance.
Well, Israel can't, and the United States can't. How many cargo ships come into the U.S. port to New York every day? Once you deal with people who have no compunction about murder, what's the difference to a murderer if he takes out the World Trade Center or if he takes out New York? What is his conscience going to bother him about the latter, even though it isn't about the former? Of course not.
Yeah. I guess
this is a serious, it's not an existential threat. It's a real threat. It's there.
Yeah, exactly. Our guest by phone, Rabbi Ganz, author of Uncommon Sense, the Talmud's Timeless Solutions to Political and Social Challenges.
Rabbi, I want to move on a little bit here to a subject that's dear to my heart. That's health care. And in your book, you talked, in the Talmud, you talked a little bit about health care. Can you expand on that?
Yes, certainly. I'll admit, I did not approach this, I admit that I did not approach this health care issue the way most people do, or most opinion makers do, which is like, grinding statistics, coming up with this prediction and dollars and cents and that. I instead promoted or presented an ancient Talmudic idea which states that when two people have to do the same thing, then it doesn't get done. This is like a kind of principle of psychology. If you have more than one person having to do something, it doesn't happen. So if a group of people is given a job, it doesn't happen. If one person is given a job, it does happen. And I expand on it, and then I go to the idea, dealing from this kind of overarching perspective, I go to the idea of inefficiency of government. And I point out that once government gets involved, inefficiency plummets, and the same thing begins to cost a whole lot more. This is not in my book, but I don't think it's in my book. I seem to remember hearing Milton Friedman being interviewed someplace years back, maybe 20 years back. So he said that it costs the private sector, whatever it was, $20 a ton, I don't remember the exact number, to collect garbage. So when the city does it, it costs twice as much to 3 times as much. He said good government is when it costs twice as much. Bad government is when it costs 3 times or more. And there's the very fact of every time you move healthcare or anything else away from the private control, it gets proportionally more expensive. It cannot be otherwise. This is a rule of humanism. In the book, I quoted Milton Friedman, who pointed out that from the time Medicare was instituted in, I think, 1965 to 1989, a hospital stay became 8 times more expensive. 800% more expensive, and it continues to grow astronomically, to grow just out of control. There's a bureaucracy.
You can apply that to anything the government has control of, as a matter of fact. But one of the biggest problems that we're going to face with health care in this country right now is we're going to see more uninsureds than we currently have. We're going to see groups laying off people and reducing their hours to 29. Unemployment's going to increase. I met with a group just yesterday, and what their strategy is right now is to reduce hours to under 30 so they won't have to cover the employees. And this
you hear about this all the time.
I know.
Well, it's absolutely. Because the reason is because, by definition, Obamacare makes health care more expensive, and it's going to continue to get more expensive. If it's your business, you shut the lights when you leave, you cut corners, you have competition, you want to provide the best product for the lowest price, and you just put this in the hands of government. It's going to cost another 5 times.
Well, and now we're looking at increasing the wage in California to $10 an hour, which I don't think is a good thing either.
No, that's just going to exacerbate the problem. Rabbi, we've got about 30 seconds left, and where can people get your book again?
My book?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, yes. I book and blog at my website, which is rabbigans.com, G-A-N-Z. The book is a self-published, but it can be bought through that website. And I also publish a blog. I try to do it every week, and that doesn't have to be paid for.
Okay. Rabbi, again, thank you. Thank you so much for the time, and I'm glad you took the time to come on. And we'd love to talk. We'd love to talk to you again.
Yes, my pleasure as well. I wish you guys all the best and continued success.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you in 167 hours on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio News Talk 1180.